1, tell more than ask. I tell and ask about the same amount. 3, I ask more than tell, but I know the answers. 4, I ask more and tell less. And here they come. Even more. Okay. The countdown, I don't have the drop ball. I'll be the drop ball. Okay. Here we go. Wow. I tell more than ask. Which is our best one? 4, I ask more than and tell less. Wow, I can go home. This is great. When I do this with business audiences, oh my goodness, it's I tell, tell, tell. Okay, next one. I am a leader in some role in my life. Strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. Oh, you guys are much more certain about this. Okay, here we go. Good. We got leaders here. We got leaders. Clap if you're a leader. See, I miss that noise sometimes with the audience response system. Okay, where do you lead most often? Oh, we're a little less certain about this. It's coming in a little slow. Where do you lead most often?
In a classroom.
Awesome. Okay, we're almost there. One more. Where do you lead most often?
Work, not at home.
Ah, very good. Okay. In the work, in the classroom, and in the family. Boy, leadership in the family is certainly my most difficult challenge. You know, you bring home these work strategies, and the kids, you know, my kids are 12 and 10. Dad, just listen to me. Do you ask questions as a leader more often to make better decisions or help others to make better decisions? So note this, that when you only put 2 answers up there, the responses come in quicker. Whoa, look at this. So what do you make of this?
I think people don't know what to answer.
Oh, does anybody have a countering view of that? What was it?
It should be both.
It should be both. Well, today we're going to talk more about the other, which is the other is helping others make decisions. Because as leaders, the trick is, how is it that we can reduce the amount of decisions we're making and increase the amount of decisions the people work for us make? Because one is, you get a better night's sleep, for one. 2 is, when you wake up in the middle of the night, you know somebody's waking up with you. And that's really, it feels good. It may seem cruel, but it really does feel better. Okay, as a leader, what % of the time do you ask questions? Oh, this is a little slower response. That's not because it's a difficult choice, it's because there's 10 choices. We're getting close. I'm going to close down polling now. So what's interesting is this is a little different answer than we got earlier when asked, what do you do mostly? And it was, I ask more questions. And now when we look at what percentage of time is spent, it's, you know, in that 40-50% range. Would you agree with that? Do I hear yes? They say if I can get you to say yes, then you're more apt to be participating as well as with these. So I'm using both audio method and finger method here. Okay, this is one of my favorite, but this is, I forget what you call this. It's the prioritizing. So you get 3 choices here in the order that you want them. What best describes the reason you most often don't ask questions? One would be, in other words, the one that you pick first will be your strongest preference. Now, what's interesting about giving a keynote speech when you're using this device is it's really cool, and I have no idea what's going to show up. So I better hope that it's the right thing for me to answer. Phew, it's across the board. You know, the most interesting thing that I found in the work around questions and leadership is it's the fear that holds us back from asking a lot of the questions that you just intuitively, like you're sitting there, you're in a meeting with your team, and you just want to ask it, and something's holding you back. It might be, I was on a board of a bank, and this was great, and I was interviewing one of the board members around leadership, and he said, you know, we were in that meeting one day when I said, what's this acronym? And everybody looked around and nobody had the answer. And we had been in this board meeting for, over a course of a year together. He had sat on the board for 5 years, and the person sitting next to him had been on the board for 14 years. He didn't know. And every meeting, the acronym kept coming up. So this is where I go, are there really any stupid questions? You know, this is my buy-in that there aren't, because, you know, I think about all the decisions they made as a bank not knowing what that acronym stood for. So ask, don't tell. Okay, so that was my prequel because I didn't want to give away the story. You know, the sauce, the special sauce. We were in a work table and we talked about that special sauce. I've been working I'm a recovering entrepreneur. My name's Gary C. And I work as an executive coach now, and I left my business that we grew to about 2,200 people. We took it public, and I went on sabbatical, and my partner said, it was such a smart move, and I never came back. And while I was on sabbatical, I was studying leadership, partly at the Aspen Institute and on my own, and something kept bothering me. And what kept bothering me was that, to me, when I was leading our group and our team, it was about asking questions. I spent all day asking questions. And it wasn't, at first it was about curiosity, but it became more than that. And I was wondering, okay, I came with the hypothesis, you know, I skipped right to the end, right? I ask a lot of questions. I think I'm an okay leader, so therefore all leaders ask a lot of questions. But then I decided to start working on a book because this really, I was curious about this. So I set out to interview at least 50 what I considered exceptional leaders. And exceptional was they're really noted, they're known people out there leading. And I asked them, so do you use questions? Yeah. But then I also found some unexceptional leaders that never ask questions. So I said, maybe the hypothesis isn't what I thought after all. I think it's really exceptional leaders ask a great number of questions. And so that's what I set out to prove in writing my book. I interviewed people like Walter Isaacson, former head of CNN, Mike Harper, head of Conagra at the time, four-star General Jack Chain, who was responsible for all the nuclear arsenals of the U.S. Boy, talk about making a wrong decision. A lot of tension in his job, and he talked about it. It's very interesting. He said he was once in a meeting with Secretary of State Schultz, and this was early on in the Pentagon years, and he was assigned to that office, and Schultz says, so what would you do about this, Chain? And he says, well, I think I'd do this. Well, okay then, let's do that. And he said, That was just my intuition speaking. He said, from then on, I prepared to answer every single possible contingency that was available because he didn't know what the question would be. So that talks about the other side of the follower, which is, if I'm going to ask you questions, how are you going to know the answers?